Hey guys, so we talk all the time about career growth and even career transition, and I'm standing today next to Skip Lance. He is a teacher. Well, I'm just going to say you're still a teacher
I'm a teacher.
at Stratford High School in Stratford, Connecticut. I was down here for some meetings today. Skip and I have met in the past before, but I wanted to jump on camera with him for a few minutes because he's at such an interesting place in his career right now. 34 years as a teacher in the town of Stratford, Connecticut. And he did retire. I'm going to let him tell more of the story. He did retire, but he's back here working and coaching, staying very involved. And we talk all the time about how important it is to have meaning and purpose in your life and what you do. And Skip's a great example of somebody who's continuing to have meaning and purpose every day by helping kids, by teaching, and by coaching. So Skip, thanks for sharing for a few minutes with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll talk more a little bit in the past too, but right from the start. So you retired, and yet here you are back the very next year teaching and coaching. So what led you to say, you know what, I'm going to still do this?
Well, initially I wasn't going to be tutoring in this position at all. When I retired at the end of last year, one of my closest friends had retired the year before, and he was active as I was, and he had acquired a job at Enterprise Cars and was going to be doing some driving, part-time driving, running a lot, doing other things. And he had reached out to me and had actually gotten me a job so that at the end of the summer I'd be going right into working with Enterprise Cars. And it was about a week before school started this past August that I learned about the literacy tutor job, a reading and writing tutor here at Stratford High School, and I had found out that they had not filled it. So I reached out to the principal, who happened to be a former baseball player of mine that I coached at the other high school at Benham High
Flies,
School.
huh?
Yes, and there I was accepting a job to be a tutor about 4 days before school was going to start. And I'm glad I did because it's, when you do something for a long time, as 34 years in teaching and coaching, you still, you're retiring, but when you stop, you always, in the back of your mind, you're saying, okay, what am I going to do to keep myself busy? I've been going, and teaching and coaching obviously has been a huge part of my life. So there was that consideration, like, how am I going to keep busy? Well, now that I accepted the tutoring job, that question's been answered because I work 25 hours a week, 5 hours a day, part-time, and I work with all different students in history and English, seniors all the way down to freshmen. And what's really kind of neat is that the high school I'm currently tutoring at is fed by the middle school, Worcester Middle School here in Stratford, where I taught for almost all my 34 years. So every class of students now, from freshmen all the way up to seniors, I had probably 35% of those kids in the classroom at Worcester in 7th grade, but I also coached them in baseball and basketball at the middle school.
Are the kids what, as a teacher and now tutoring and you coach for years too?
Oh, yes.
What is it the kids and the relationships you build? You and I have talked offline about this and about some of my brother's past with that very thing. Like, is it the relationships that really draw you to this?
Oh, absolutely. It's not about, the winning and the losing. Yes, you do compete. You try to win. You work hard. You try to teach kids a good work ethic as a player, as you do in the classroom. And help them to understand that if you put the work in, you get the feedback in terms of successes. But it has really been about relationships because I grew up in Stratford. I went to the middle school. I taught after 34 years, and I've been in town my whole life. So I've been part of the school community, the Stratford community, and it's amazing the lives you connect with in so many different ways. I still see adults today that I had in 7th grade, and they instantly connect with something that we did in the classroom or something I said, and I'm astounded that that you have that effect on them.
That must be such a good feeling when you hear those kind of stories. And you were telling me a couple of the Todd ones where, a student comes to you and remembers one thing you said or one thing you did in their life.
And yeah, absolutely. It's happened to me quite a bit. And I even ask students, that I see now when I tutor, I said, they'll say, they'll even say to me, Mr. Lynch, you were a great teacher. I enjoyed your classroom. And I always say, well, why did you enjoy my classroom? What did I teach? Oh, I don't know. It was just that day when we were doing it. It had nothing to do with my lesson. But it's the fact that you took the time to listen to them, to help them, to connect with them in some way. And it goes a long way. And that's the neat thing about being a teacher, is that you do make those connections.
Do you ever worry? This is such a great lesson. I love it. But we'll wind down in a minute or so. What did you ever worry, either before your retirement or when it was coming? Like, what am I gonna? Before you accepted the tutor, and I know you had the stuff with Enterprise in the works,
Yeah.
but were you worried about, like, I'm gonna miss this? Is it gonna have a negative effect on me? Like, were you thinking about that at all?
Yeah, you do. I mean, I had plenty of things to keep me busy. All four of my wife is a retired reading teacher, and all four of our children currently are teachers in Connecticut in the public schools in some way. So obviously, teaching has been a big part of our lives.
I'll say.
But my two daughters have now had children, and we have 3 grandchildren now. My wife does the daycare, so I have that connection with family, and that's an important thing to me too. It always has been. But yeah, I did in the back of my mind saying, my kids are grown, they're out leading their own lives and doing their things. And even though my daughters are in town, we see each other a lot. It's that the professional, personal side of your life. Like, how am I gonna? You can't duplicate it. 34 years, but it's like, all right, I'm not going to necessarily replace it, but how am I going to keep it going? You do worry about that void, like, because you impact students and kids, and whether it's coaching or in the classroom, you have an effect on them, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? Because it's rewarding. How can I keep that feeling going?
This is cool. This is fantastic. One last question. What would you tell to somebody who's watching this or sees this video in the future who's thinking about becoming a teacher? What's the one piece of advice you would give to somebody who's going to go into this profession or thinking about it? It's probably a lot to choose from.
Well,
I
it
know.
is. No. Obviously, you want to go into it because you love working with kids, and that's important. It's not about always getting your subject matter across, and it's not about test scores, certainly. It is about teaching kids to learn to speak out for themselves, to gain independence through their learning, and also to make a connection with them. Make a connection with them all the time. And they see that you're invested in their education and what they think and what they care about, then it's going to come back to you, because they're going to instantly connect with you in the classroom. They really will. So make that time to connect with students.
Well, they can combine your advice with all the people they're calling down to the office. So I hope this was helpful. Great stories. I'll just end it there. Thanks, Skip, so much. This was great.
You're welcome. Thank you.